Suffering is something we all know. It does not matter where you are from, how much money you have, or what kind of life you live. Everyone meets suffering in one way or another. It might come as sadness, loneliness, fear, or even just a deep feeling that something is missing. In Buddhism, we begin with the simple truth: life includes suffering. This is not meant to make you feel sad. It is just to help us see clearly. When we understand that suffering is natural, we do not feel so alone. We do not think, "Why me?" Instead, we start to ask, "What can I learn from this?" Suffering is not a punishment. It is not a sign that you are broken or weak. It is simply a part of being human. Just like joy, love, and beauty, suffering also belongs to life. If you try to push it away or pretend it is not there, it often grows stronger. But if you pause and notice it, if you sit with it gently, something begins to change. You may not feel better right away, but you may begin to see things differently. When we suffer, we often feel like we are falling into a dark hole. But even in the darkness, there can be something important. Sometimes we find a deeper understanding of ourselves. Sometimes we realize how much we care for others. Sometimes we remember what really matters. So, suffering is not always the enemy. It can hurt, yes. It can be heavy and hard to carry. But it can also be a doorway. Not a doorway to escape life, but a doorway into life. Into a life that is more open, more honest, and more real. We do not need to love suffering, but we can learn to walk with it. And in that walking, something soft, something true, begins to grow inside us. When we experience suffering, it is natural to want to escape it. Our minds often react by trying to avoid the pain. We may distract ourselves with work, entertainment, or even food. But the more we try to run from our suffering, the more it seems to grow. It is like trying to escape the shadow of a tree. No matter how fast we walk, the shadow follows us. In Buddhism, we talk about how our reactions to suffering can make it worse. Instead of accepting the pain as it is, we often resist it. We push it away, deny it, or fight against it. This resistance is what makes the suffering feel bigger and more unbearable. The more we struggle, the more it becomes a battle. And battles are exhausting. It's important to remember that our reactions are not always helpful. When we get angry, afraid, or sad about our suffering, it doesn't make the pain go away. In fact, those feelings can add even more suffering. Think about a time when you were upset about something. Did being angry or frustrated make you feel better? Or did it just make the situation feel worse? But there is another way. Instead of resisting, we can allow ourselves to feel the pain. We can sit with it. This does not mean we enjoy the suffering, but we stop fighting it. We stop thinking that it should not be there. By letting go of the fight, we can begin to find peace, even in the midst of difficulty. This is not easy. Our natural instinct is to avoid pain. But in the moment we stop fighting it, we begin to break free. We start to see the suffering as it is, just a passing experience, like a cloud in the sky. It may be dark for a time, but it will not last forever. The next time you face suffering, try to notice your reactions. Are you resisting the pain? Are you making it worse by fighting it? If so, see if you can gently let go of that struggle. By accepting what is, you may find that the suffering becomes more manageable. Not gone, but more peaceful, more bearable. In life, we often view suffering as something to avoid or escape. We wish it would disappear, and we search for ways to make it stop. But what if suffering, instead of being the enemy, is actually a teacher? What if the pain we feel can offer us important lessons that we might not learn in other ways? Buddhism teaches us that suffering has the potential to help us grow. Just like a tree grows stronger in the wind, we can become stronger through our experiences of pain. When we face difficult moments, we are given an opportunity to see more clearly, to understand ourselves, others, and the world around us in a deeper way. For example, suffering often shows us our attachment to things. We may suffer because we want something that we cannot have, or because we fear losing something that we love. In these moments, we realize how much we hold on to things, how much we expect them to make us happy. But suffering teaches us that nothing in life lasts forever. Everything is constantly changing. When we understand this truth, we can begin to let go of our attachments. This does not mean we stop caring or loving. It means we begin to accept the impermanence of life. Suffering also helps us develop compassion. When we experience pain, we can connect with the pain of others. We begin to understand that we are not alone in our suffering. Everyone, no matter who they are, faces difficulty in life. This understanding opens our hearts to others. It helps us treat others with more kindness and care because we know what it feels like to struggle. Another lesson that suffering teaches is patience. In moments of pain, we often want things to change quickly. We want the suffering to end. But suffering shows us that healing takes time. It teaches us to be patient with ourselves and others. Just like a wound takes time to heal, our emotional and mental wounds also need time. By learning patience, we learn to accept the process of healing. So next time you face suffering, instead of seeing it only as something negative, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What is this experience trying to teach me? When we begin to see suffering as a teacher, we open ourselves to growth and transformation. The pain may still be there, but we find deeper meaning in it. To understand the deeper lessons of suffering, it can be helpful to look at the life of the Buddha. His own life story is filled with moments of great suffering, but it is through these experiences that he was able to find true peace and enlightenment. In a way, the Buddha's life teaches us how to walk through our own suffering with wisdom and compassion. Before he became the Buddha, he was known as Siddhartha Gautama, a prince born into a life of luxury. He had everything he could possibly want: wealth, comfort, and protection from the world's hardships. But as he grew older, he began to question the nature of life. He left the palace and encountered 4 sights that changed him forever: an old man, a sick man, a dead body, and a wandering ascetic. These sights revealed to him the truth about suffering. No one can escape old age, illness, or death. At that moment, Siddhartha understood that life, no matter how rich or privileged, is filled with pain and impermanence. This realization moved him deeply. He saw that suffering is a part of everyone's life, no matter who they are. And he also realized that there must be a way to transcend this suffering. Siddhartha then chose to leave his royal life behind and set off on a journey to find the end of suffering. He practiced severe self-discipline, meditation, and study. But it was only when he stopped trying to force an answer and instead accepted the truth of his own experience that he found enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. This story of the Buddha's search for truth teaches us a powerful lesson. The path to peace is not about escaping suffering, but about understanding it fully. The Buddha did not deny suffering, nor did he try to fight it. He acknowledged it, examined it, and ultimately found a way to live with it, without letting it control his life. The Buddha's life shows us that suffering, while difficult, is not something to fear or avoid. Instead, it is something we can learn from. Through our own challenges, we can grow wiser, more compassionate, and more at peace. Just as the Buddha's path to enlightenment began with an acceptance of suffering, our own journey can begin in the same way. By facing suffering with open eyes, we too can find the path to peace. Pain is something that we all encounter in life, whether it is physical pain, emotional pain, or the kind of pain that comes from the loss of someone or something important to us. It is a universal experience. However, while pain is often something we try to avoid or eliminate, it also holds important lessons for us. By facing pain directly, we can learn more about ourselves and the world around us. When we experience pain, one of the first things we learn is how strong we really are. Pain forces us to confront our limitations, but it also shows us the resilience that lies within us. It is through facing difficult moments that we discover just how much we can endure and how we can grow stronger. It is easy to feel helpless when we are in pain, but the truth is that we often have more strength than we realize. By simply allowing ourselves to experience the pain, without turning away from it, we learn to tap into that inner strength. Pain also teaches us the value of patience. When we are suffering, we often want the pain to go away immediately. But life doesn't work that way. Pain, both physical and emotional, takes time to heal. By accepting that healing is a process, we begin to develop patience with ourselves. We stop expecting instant relief and instead learn to trust that the pain will eventually ease. In this way, pain teaches us to be gentle with ourselves and to give ourselves the time we need to heal. Another important lesson that pain offers is the opportunity for deep self-awareness. Pain can strip away our distractions and force us to look inward. When we are in pain, we can no longer ignore the things that are bothering us or the parts of ourselves that we have been avoiding. Pain often reveals truth about our lives, our relationships, and our own hearts that we might not have seen before. It can help us understand what really matters to us and what we need to let go of in order to move forward. Through facing pain, we also learn to appreciate the moments of peace and joy in our lives. The contrast between pain and joy can deepen our gratitude for the good moments, even the small ones. It is in the face of suffering that we truly understand how precious peace and happiness are. So rather than seeing pain as something to avoid at all costs, we can begin to see it as a teacher. Pain invites us to slow down, reflect, and grow. It may not be easy, and it may not always be pleasant, but it is a part of life that can help us become more whole, more compassionate, and more aware. When we face suffering, there are two main ways we can respond: acceptance or resistance. Most of the time, our instinct is to resist the pain. We try to avoid it, fight it, or push it away in any way we can. We may feel that if we resist hard enough, the suffering will stop. However, resistance often leads to more pain and frustration. It is as if we are struggling against the current of a river, and the harder we fight, the more we exhaust ourselves. On the other hand, acceptance does not mean that we like suffering or want it to last longer. Acceptance simply means that we acknowledge the pain as it is, without judgment. We stop telling ourselves that it should not be there, that it is wrong, or that it is unfair. We stop wishing that things were different. Instead, we allow ourselves to experience the pain fully, without trying to escape it. When we accept suffering, something remarkable happens. We begin to create space for healing. Just as a wound heals more quickly when we stop picking at it, our emotional and mental wounds can heal when we stop resisting them. Resistance only keeps us trapped in a cycle of suffering, while acceptance allows us to move through it. Acceptance also helps us to see the suffering more clearly. When we resist, our minds are clouded with anger, fear, or frustration. We cannot think clearly or make wise decisions. But when we accept the pain, we can approach it with a calm mind. We can reflect on what the pain is trying to teach us and how we can grow from it. This clarity of mind is what allows us to find peace, even in the midst of difficulty. This does not mean that acceptance is easy. It is often much harder to accept pain than to resist it. Our natural response is to want to escape it. But the more we practice acceptance, the more we begin to see that it is not the pain itself that causes the most suffering. It is our resistance to it. By learning to accept what is, we free ourselves from the grip of suffering and open the door to peace. The next time you find yourself struggling with pain, ask yourself, am I resisting this? Am I fighting against it? If you are, try to gently let go of that resistance. Allow yourself to feel what you are feeling, without judgment. By practicing acceptance, you may find that the pain becomes more manageable, and that peace begins to emerge from within. In our search for peace, we often think that the only way to find it is by escaping pain. We believe that if we could just avoid suffering, we would be happy and at peace. This desire to escape pain is natural. After all, no one wants to feel hurt, whether it is physical or emotional. But what if peace does not require us to escape pain at all? What if true peace comes from being able to live with pain without letting it control us? In Buddhism, we are taught that peace is not something that can be found outside of us, in the absence of suffering. Instead, peace is something we find within, even in the midst of pain. This peace comes from understanding that suffering is a part of life, and by accepting it, we can find a deeper sense of calm. When we stop trying to escape pain, we stop making it bigger. Pain is like a wave in the ocean. If we try to fight it, we only get pushed under the water. But if we allow the wave to pass over us, it moves through us without drowning us. In the same way, when we stop resisting pain, we allow it to come and go naturally, without holding on to it or letting it overwhelm us. True peace comes when we can be present with our pain, without fear or resistance. This does not mean we enjoy suffering, or that we wish for it to last forever. It means we accept that suffering is a part of life, and that we have the ability to live with it without being controlled by it. We find peace not by running from pain, but by learning to coexist with it. In every moment of suffering, there is an opportunity for peace. When we face pain with openness and acceptance, we realize that it does not have to define us. We are not our pain. We are more than that. We are beings capable of love, compassion, and wisdom, no matter what suffering we face. By embracing this truth, we can find peace, even in the most difficult of times. So instead of trying to escape from pain, we can begin to find peace in it. We can learn to walk through our suffering with mindfulness and courage. And in doing so, we discover that peace is always within our reach, even when life is difficult. As we come to the end of this reflection on suffering, we can consider one final truth. Life is a balance. Suffering is not something we can completely avoid, nor is it something we must carry with us forever. Like all things in life, suffering is temporary. It comes, it stays for a while, and eventually it passes. But just as the pain comes, so too can moments of peace, joy, and contentment. The key is finding a balance between accepting the reality of suffering and also making room for the beauty and joy that life offers. It is about living in harmony with both the light and the dark aspects of life. By accepting suffering as a natural part of existence, we free ourselves from the struggle to escape it. and by allowing ourselves to experience the moments of peace and happiness, we begin to live with a greater sense of gratitude and presence. We do not need to seek perfection or expect that life will always be easy. The truth is, we are human, and life is filled with ups and downs. But in each moment, there is an opportunity to find balance. Whether we are experiencing pain or joy, we can choose to be fully present, to breathe, and to accept what is happening without judgment. In the end, the path to peace is not about escaping suffering, but about learning how to live with it in a way that brings us more understanding, more compassion, and more wisdom. The practice of living with suffering in balance is a quiet truth, a truth that we carry with us each day as we walk through life, one step at a time. I would like to take a moment to express my heartfelt thanks for your support. Your likes, subscriptions, comments, and super thanks mean a great deal to me. It is through your kindness and engagement that this journey can continue, and I am truly grateful for the opportunity to share these reflections with you. If you find these teachings meaningful, I sincerely appreciate any thoughts you may wish to share, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future.